Welcome to our 11th episode of the Who, What, When, Where, and the Why podcast. My name is Kathleen Johnson, and I am your Membership and Marketing Director at the Tuscarawas County YMCA and your host today. And with me today is our swim coach, Brenda Wherley, and her mom, Betty Wherley. And we are super excited. I cannot tell you how excited I was that you said yes to this, because officially you're our second or third, I guess, set of people who have come in to be guests on our show. So it's very exciting for us to have people that are just super Y related. And so today's episode title is called Social Influencers. It starts at home. So a discussion, we're going to have a discussion about just how to live a life of encouraging others and why it's important to start that conversation at home and to build those qualities through our kids. So I felt like I had to bring a mother-daughter team, and I can't think of any better mother-daughter team than the two of you at the Y. So you, Brenda, do a lot with social media and all that kind of stuff through not only your job with Dover Schools, but also just, trying to get communication out to all kinds of different people. So you know what an influencer is. And so the definition basically is most often is referred to a person who generates interest in something, such as a product, by posting it on social media. But I want to go beyond Selena Gomez's contribution to the world, or Beyonce. Let's reel it in, and because they're on the top 40 list of Instagram social influencers. But I want to talk about the real Tuscarawas County influencers and what they have to say about why they influence people, and how that does help people's journey. So we're going to come back to you.
Okay.
You get to go last.
All right.
Because I really do think that right now you are one of the most influential connections to kids at our Y. I mean, just huge. And then throughout the community, because you do so many other things. So I plan to hear your story later.
Okay.
I'll start with Mom, right? Because I think I looked, I want to say 40s, you're probably longer, 47 years as a member of the Y. It might be longer than that.
Excuse me, I think it's 45.
45,
maybe.
Okay.
I'm not sure. It's in the 40s.
I'll arm wrestle you on that later. So, Betty, tell me your Y story and a little bit about this picture that is actually on our wall of fame at the YMCA, talking about 100 years in Tuscarawas County. But tell me a little bit about your Y story. How did you start out there? Were you married to this guy when you were dancing in this picture?
No.
And so we talked a little bit about this morning as you were walking out of the Y.
Right.
But tell me that story.
Well, the Y was very prominent in downtown Dover and the Dover community. And when I was young, I wanted to learn to swim. And so I took swimming lessons at the Y, and Tom Patton was my instructor. And I would ride my bike to the Y and meet up with other people that were taking swim lessons. And when we would go back in the afternoon for free swim or open swim, I guess they called it. And it was just, for me, swimming was just it. When I finally learned how to swim, and we started with those little classes of minnow, and then on up through shark or something like that.
Pollywog.
Yeah, all of those. And so I just thoroughly enjoyed those as a youngster, and I met a lot of kids because at that time I didn't go to Dover schools.
Okay.
My dad was a basketball coach, and we lived outside the area, but we always came back in the summer. So needless to say, that was a way for me to learn some people or some...
meet some friends.
Right. And I think I remember this correctly. the swimming lessons were not co-ed.
Oh, okay.
The boys had their swimming lessons, and I think this is what I recall, but then that was many, many years ago. So anyway.
So how old were you when you first started?
7. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
And then the the downtown Y also had like a game room and ping pong tables and pool tables. And I never played pool, but occasionally we played ping pong. And I have to comment on Mr. Durr. Miles Durr was the executive director at that time. And, you know, if you were playing one of those games and you sort of lost your temper or something, bang the paddle down on the ping pong table, immediately he'd come out, you know.
Oh.
And it was, do you want to continue playing this game or not? And it was, yes, sir. And so it was, you know, you had to take care of the equipment.
Yeah.
You had to put everything away. I mean, it was a good learning experience. So
Awesome.
And then later on, when we moved back to Dover, I was in junior high, and that's when I got involved with the club co-ed.
Okay.
Now, that was in the basement of the old Y.
Okay.
And every Friday and Saturday night, you could go there and socialize, mingle, dance if you wanted to, you know, just meet up, just hang out and enjoy meeting.
I like it.
Yeah, it was great because it was someplace to go and meet your friends, etc. And I don't think we thought of it in this light at that time, but it was safe and you were protected, you know.
Yeah.
They had older adults there.
Chaperones.
Yes, chaperones and dads.
Yeah.
So it was just a wonderful experience that way. Plus,
and dancing was a big. Was it very popular? That I mean, did people dance?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the jitterbugs.
Ah.
And then the Y and the city also during the summer had dances up at Dice Hill.
Right.
And that was, I think, a couple nights a week during the summer. So it was just a wonderful time to grow up, to be able to socialize with your friends in a very, like I said, safe.
Yeah.
Although that we
did you meet this guy at?
No, I met him at school.
Oh.
She says with such enthusiasm.
Actually, I was at the club co-ed one night, and I started to walk. My grandmother lived in town. We lived out of town. So I was starting to walk to my grandmother's house, and this young man came up and wanted to know if he could walk me to my grandmother's house. So that was our first encounter.
That is so sweet. I love that. That is great.
But one of the things with the Y, too, they had, for the boys, High Y organization, and for the girls, it was the Tri-High Y. And they were like, I would relate this to like service organizations that adults had, like Kiwanis and Rotary and Exchange Club, etc.
Right.
And we did things, and it was also an opportunity to meet kids from other schools, although they were primarily from Philly. And that was fun. Yeah. Although there was one week in November or October, late October, where we didn't talk to them. But other than that, they were good friends.
Yes.
If you understand that.
I'm not from originally here, but I do understand it now. Yes.
But that was where we could plan dances. Like one of the big things in the fall was the sweater hop. where you and your date bought sweaters that matched. And that
So
was
cute.
Yeah, a big deal.
Yeah.
You know? And then they had this jingle ball hop, a more
this little
formal
winter formal
dance. Yes. So,
which this skirt is amazing. Is that not? It's just the best skirt ever.
I think it has 40,
Knowing you
40 yards of crinoline under it.
Do you still have this?
I don't think so. I think the moths have gotten it by now.
And I love this. And they're in suits.
Oh, yes.
The gentlemen are in
Yes.
suits. And
Yes.
Just really, really nice. So then kids came along.
Right.
And so why did you encourage swimming?
Well, I'll tell you, I gained so much from my experience at the Y that I just wanted our kids, to have the same experience. And they started with swimming. They all three were on swim teams. And they did some of the other activities too. And I think Brenda would agree that the swimming and the swim team, again, where you were able to meet friends, develop lasting friendships and camaraderie and everything. And so I wanted them to experience the same wonderful experience I had. And so I tried to volunteer wherever I could. And all three of them went through the Y. And then we waited patiently for grandsons, and we had 5 of them. No girls, but 5 grandsons, and that's all right.
That is all right.
We had 2 daughters, so that's all right. Our son and his 2 boys were connected with the Green Y up in Green.
That's
because that's where they lived. And, of course, the Sexton boys were at the Tusk Y. And so we just thoroughly enjoyed.
So you said your dad was a coach.
Yes.
What did he coach?
Primarily basketball, although back in those days you had to do practically everything.
Right,
so,
right.
Although there was at the small schools that he was coaching, they usually only had basketball and baseball. So those were the 2 things he coached.
So did you see similar things from your dad being a coach? Did you see some of those same qualities in Brenda? And what do you think led her to become a coach? Like, did you before she answers that same question?
I think my dad was very patient with most of the time. There were some times on the basketball court where he would get a little irate, but I think that's normal coaches sometimes.
I think so.
He, in his family, he had a sister who was mentally challenged. And at that time, she just stayed home. Mm-hmm. She never had the opportunity to go to school or to live on her own or anything. And I think he saw and was able to relate to her. And he told me one time he would go in and play paper dolls with her.
Aww.
And he says, but I told my mom, don't you ever tell any of the boys that I'm playing paper dolls. But I think he understood how hard it was for her. And so he was able to relate to kids, all kids. And Brenda does the same thing immensely well.
Aww. So there's definitely I love seeing the 2 of you come in. You come in kind of at different times now, and sometimes, you're passing by or whatever. But your family really is one of those influential families at the Y that just helps us stay on track. Like, you're not your family. Like, you're not afraid to call us out on things that we need to improve on, or give us ideas or help us structure things and all that kind of stuff. And so I'd never really have ever heard your story before today, or before our little hallway conversation earlier. But I remember, I didn't even realize this was you until you pointed it out on the wall. And so I love that there's these generations at the Y. And I know that you've seen generation after generation. I'm not sure I don't think you're, how long have you been coaching? I guess I'll just ask that question.
34 years.
34 years. Oh, so you may be seeing.
Oh, I'm definitely seeing
children
yes.
that you've already had through your program. But Brenda, so tell me a little about your Y story, starting at 7 years old. And just, tell me about your story at the Y.
Well, I was definitely in the swimming program at the Y, as Mom said. She benefited greatly from it. I loved to swim. I was that kid in lessons that when it was time to get out, I was underwater so that Brenda, I'm like, sorry, can't hear you. And it was like, time to get out. Oh, just one more lap, just one more. And I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And I went through the lessons all the way through shark, but I did not pass shark because I would not do a back dive.
Oh.
Yes, we had the diving boards at that time, and part of the criteria to pass, you had to do a back dive, and I said, this is not necessary for me to be successful in life.
It's not natural.
And exactly. I am not falling backwards off of this board into the water, so I just will not pass. That's okay. I'll accept it. And you were stubborn then, weren't you? Absolutely. But thoroughly enjoyed the lessons, thoroughly enjoyed being in the water. And one day I can remember coming home from school, and in the mail from Coach Bud Barrett was a note that said, congratulations on, at that time, passing Minnow. You are now eligible to be on the swim team. We would love to have you. Oh, wow. And I can remember running through the house with this note, Mom, they want me.
Oh my gosh.
They want me on the team. And I said, I think I want to try this. And loved it. Absolutely loved it.
That is such a cool story of achievement, and then just recognition, and how important recognition is. And I know that you always make that special at the end of coaching a season to recognize. I was talking to someone the other day we were talking about a movie that I had seen. It's called The Butterfly Circus. And it's just a kind of an interesting thing where you take imperfections and you grow them into great characteristics of a person. So even if you didn't know how to swim at the beginning, learn teaching and taking and really developing these butterflies. And so I love the fact that you started as a youngster at the Y, but when did you know that you wanted to influence kids in a different way and you wanted to coach? When did that?
That probably did not occur until my senior year of college.
Did you swim in college as well?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. We had this conversation in the car ride over that I was bullheaded again. And I graduated from Bowling Green State University, had every intention of swimming, and met with the coach one last time before, okay, you're going to be a freshman. Well, this is what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. And he said, now what school do you swim for? And I said, well, we don't have a high school team in my area. I swim for the Y. And his response was, oh, you're a Y swimmer.
Oh.
And I did not like that at all. And I thought, okay, and you're not a very nice person, and I don't think I want to be involved with this.
Wow.
And, Mom's always right. My mother says, prove them wrong. Show them what you can do. Uh-huh. And I became bullheaded, and I didn't want any part of it.
Was she like that a lot as a child?
Sometimes.
I probably get that from my dad.
Yes. I think that came
this
from
man.
him.
Yeah, obviously not from her.
Yeah, but again, hindsight 2020, I wish I would have done that just to prove that. I mean, my times were fine. The time,
Right.
what's it matter what pool you swim in? It's the same time. And he was happy with my times. It just, I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way. So I had no intentions of teaching. When I went to college, I wanted to go into business and be an office manager type person. That I thought was phenomenal. That's what I wanted to do. Again, mother always knows best. Says to me,
She's an influencer.
oh, she's a big influencer. And I'm so grateful that she influenced me in so many wonderful things. And she mentioned to me, you could get your business education degree so that if the business part doesn't work out, you can fall back on the education degree.
Good job.
Just a couple more classes. I thought, okay, I could do this. So I took the classes necessary, and it was the night before I was supposed to start my student teaching at Toledo Whitmer, the largest high school in the state. And I thought, I can't do this. There's no way these kids are going to listen to me.
Just put on the brakes.
Exactly. I'm like, nah, everything's fine until now. I don't know about this. And I actually called my cooperating professor and I told him, I said, I don't think I'm going to go tomorrow. And you'll be fine. I've matched you with a very good teacher. You'll be fine. And he did. Mrs. Lemke was my teacher that I learned from. She was so patient with me. She was awesome. And that's where I truly fell in love with teaching. And I thought, yeah, this is awesome. This is awesome.
Yeah.
To watch those kids come in and, make mistake after mistake, but ultimately to watch their face when they get the concept, when they actually learn it, priceless. So I fell in love with the profession of teaching, came back to the area. My first year I taught at Ashtabula Vocational School, which was a great teaching experience. Horrible snow. I said, I can't deal with this snow. So I was very fortunate. My second year I got hired down at Newcomerstown High School and taught there for 12 years. And Kelly Watson was actually the head coach of the swim team and had said, hey, you're back in the area. Why don't you help out and coach? So she was the head coach for 1 year, and then she resigned from that. And they said, oh, you're up. It's you.
And this is at Dover City Schools?
No,
or at the Y?
This is at the Y.
Okay,
this is
at the Y. That's not a name that I recognized.
Yeah. So, so I stepped up and have done it ever since.
So you became a coach at the YMCA before becoming the high school coach for Dover.
Correct. I actually started all the high school programs in Tuscarawas County.
That's impressive.
Yeah. With the help of Fred Memelar. He was very instrumental from New Philadelphia. He was very instrumental in making this happen. Because we had kids, and it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. We had kids from all the different schools. They swam together on the swim team,
right?
Competed together. And then in February, they just represented their high schools at the sectional meet.
So how long have swim teams at high schools been going on?
Oh, well, Sally Hawk represented New Philadelphia as a swimmer when she was on the swim team, when we were on the swim team together.
Okay.
So, but to formally start the teams, that probably happened 92, 91.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
So really not that long ago.
No.
I just, you think, well, it's been going on forever.
Right. No.
But no. So why, were there other high school teams that you were kind of mirroring, getting a high school team set for, or was it something that you felt, I guess, so you have other YMCAs and they're obviously competing against other YMCAs.
Right.
And so there had to have been some high school teams. What was like your first season? What did that look like? Because nobody else has a pool.
Well, it looked like what we did was we made the agreement with, I'll start with Philly because they were first. They said, hey, you keep track of their points, you keep track of their attendance. And if they swim their sectional meet for New Philly and they earn enough points, if they meet their criteria to letter, they can earn a letter. So that's how we started.
So who did they compete against? Like what schools?
They swam Y's. They swam Ys, but they earned points depending on how they finished. They earned, their points.
Right.
5 for first place, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
If they scored X amount of points, they earned that varsity letter. And then we had enough kids to be interested in this that, like I said, Fred Memelar said, well, Philly's going to start their own team. And then Dover followed suit. And at one point in time, this is quite comical, I went to Upper Arlington with all the kids for sectionals, and you had to do roll call. And he's like, okay, Dover. I'm like, here, Claymont, here, New Philly, here, Strasburg, here. And these other coaches are looking at me like, do you have a life? Like, what are you doing? And I just sort of laughed. I said, they're all the same. It's one big team. They're now just swimming for their high schools. Yes.
Wow.
Because we had Indian Valley. I think we had Tusky Valley. I think there were 9 different teams at one point. And it was great because the kids were so supportive of each other.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was awesome.
So just an experience very similar to what you were talking about, getting those, being part of something that was definitely much bigger.
Right.
And just really finding that a skill, develops into a passion. And just what a great way to, and then take it into a lifetime of physical fitness, which, we constantly are talking to people, even when we get some people that are older that don't know how to swim. And the first question we ask when they make that statement is, did you want to learn to swim? Because we can still do that.
Absolutely.
There is absolutely opportunity still to do that. And one of my favorite why stories is I was teaching an aqua aerobics class, and there were 2 ladies in the aqua aerobics class. And then this one school teacher came in the summer, and she made the statement she didn't know how to swim. And so after class, every time they would go over and get a kickboard, and she had a little bit of fear of the deeper water. She would always stay in shallow. And I watched them all summer long, every about 10, 15 minutes after class, they would work with her to get her courage. And by the end of the summer, they had her actually without a kickboard, getting her way to the end of the pool. Oh. And now when I see her, I'm just always she's just out there doing her thing. She can swim. And it was just that relationship, that water just seemed to help that flow. And it was just it's to me, one of my favorite why stories that I got to witness that I had nothing to do with, but just got to witness that strength and that, just that influence of people around you, and just putting you in the right places. And so, you now, I'm going to give you some time to kind of spotlight some of the things you're doing right now. Still teaching.
Okay. I teach accounting and computer classes at Dover High School, going on year number 35 coming up.
Wow.
So
35
And I'm
years.
so young,
I know. I don't even understand. I have no idea.
And I am proud to say that I am a 3rd generation business teacher. My grandmother was a business teacher, and my mom was a business teacher. And
really?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Where did you
she's
teach at?
Very influential.
She is.
I started at Canton City Schools out of college, and then I quit for a while I had the children.
Yeah.
And then I went back. I guess it was, Sandy Valley called. It was like 2 weeks before school started, and they couldn't fill this position. And it was Ken Gold was the principal. He used to come to the Y.
Is that Mrs. Sattler's
Yes.
dad?
Yes.
Uh-huh. And he was telling me, and he said, he says, we start at 7:30. And I said, there's no way I can be there at 7:30 because the kids, I think at that time, the elementary school, I don't think he started till about 8:30 or 9 o'clock.
Probably 9.
And so he said, he said, we won't give you a homeroom and we won't assign you to anything first period. Could you be here by around 9 o'clock?
That's awesome.
So I said, okay, because I enjoyed teaching too, and I missed it. And so I thought, well, and it worked out.
That's
so
cool.
then from Sandy Valley, I went down to the Career Center because the kids were getting older and getting in activities. And one of the good things for me at the Career Center was all the kids did stuff at their home school.
Right.
And when I was at Sandy Valley, if they were in a play or a band concert, I mean, you wanted to go and support them. So it made it easy. Plus, it was closer to drive. So,
Well, I learned something today because I did not know that you were a teacher. Because I'm not originally from this area, so I did. I mean, I've been here. My kids all went to school here. They were born here. But not being from this area, I didn't connect that dot that you were also a teacher. So that's pretty cool. And I feel like part of the family because I always wanted to be a teacher, but
There you go.
didn't. Anyways, so back to what you're doing now.
Yes.
So you're coaching. Tell us about what you're coaching.
We're coaching the Y team this summer.
The Silver
And
Streaks.
The Silver Streaks, yes. We just actually had a swim meet, what's today, Friday, on Wednesday for Perry. Went up to Perry High School, which was so exciting because we got to travel and parents got to go. We didn't have to wear masks. It was almost as normal could be.
Yes.
So exciting. And the kids did great. And so we're excited to get back into a normal routine with the swim team. So we'll do that till July 21st will be our championship meet at Freelander Pool in Worcester, which is an outdoor pool. So that's always fun to swim outdoors. And then we'll start back up again in the fall for the fall season.
Are you doing anything at Dover Park this year?
I am not.
You are not. Okay. But in the past, you may have seen Brenda at Dover Park, helping out there. And then you also coach Dover High School team.
The Dover High School team, yep. So they'll start back up in November.
Okay. All right. Which also meets at the YMCA. So
That's right.
Brenda, I think you probably should have a parking space, but if you want us to try to do some influence work there, your mom could use it during the morning.
Swimmers do know where to park and where not to park for the coaches. It's quite funny, actually.
So you do have a parking space. Is that
I do. It's just not.
it's not officially marked.
There you go.
I'm sure we could, work that out with some chalk or something. We'll just have to go out and do it once in a while, redo it every once in a while, but that's funny. Put a shout out to your other coaches.
Matt Petricola and Jolynn McFadden.
Okay, and those are your coaches for...
Those are my high school coaches.
coaches.
And then my Y coaches are Emily Lane, who actually was my first female swimmer on the Dover High School team.
Oh, that's cool.
So you talk about, I've now am coaching her children. And Susie Kaleli.
Yeah.
And then Jolynn is helping out with the high school or the Y team this summer.
Awesome.
So the four of us.
Yeah, so the Tuscarawas County YMCA has a summer swim team.
Yes.
And then also I call them the regular swim team, but what
in the fall and the winter.
Yeah.
Yes.
During that standard swim time.
Right.
So
right.
And how what kind of swimmer do you have to be on the Y team?
You have to be interested in being on a team and having fun.
There you go. There you go.
We can handle the rest.
And
we can
be a
handle the
youth
rest.
person. So I'm interested in that, but I'm too old to be on their team. So any other stories you want to tell us?
I want to brag on my mom.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm going to brag on my mom because her goal, and she has met this goal for several years now, is to swim a mile every day, 365 days a year. And she has met that goal for the last 4 or 5 years.
I don't know. I don't keep track. That's an average because, of course, the Y isn't open on certain days and all that. So then I have to make up the mile.
So she puts a couple laps in the bank.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. I was like, how would she do that? Oh, now I get it. You have to swim a little longer.
Yes.
I get it. And I will tell you, it's the most graceful thing to watch you swim. It really is. It's swimming really is beautiful to watch. Not when I swim, a little bit more of a thrashing motion, but to watch a person who really uses swimming. So what do you get out of it? What do you...
Oh, well, health-wise, it's very good exercise. but it just is, I just enjoy it so much. And I don't know, I've told people and they look at me strangely, but I say, just going through the water, the sound,
it's therapeutic.
Yes, very good. It's therapeutic, and it's just,
it's a different sensation than running. I mean, you're in water. You're in a body. You also
run though a little bit, don't you?
Oh, not those days are long gone. I did.
Yeah, I used to run by my house with the dogs.
Yes.
And
yeah. No, but we can swimming, low impact, if any impact. You can do forever. Mm-hmm. And it is true. It's a life-saving skill. It's a life-saving skill. It's something, in my opinion, everybody should be able to know how to swim. And it gave me so much in my life that I want to extend that opportunity to each kid on the team, just to develop that passion for swimming. And if it's not a passion for swimming, a passion for something, just develop a passion for something you truly enjoy.
Yeah. Well, I know that you can see the passion that you put into your job, and obviously the passion that you had in yours and parenting the future, which is so huge. We want to remind people that parenting is such a great, influencers should not be found on the internet. They really need to be found in your own home. And so it's a great responsibility when you've been given the responsibility of another life to really put that influence into them, to breathe life into them, to support their stubbornness or support their choices, and to gently guide them into great spaces and places. And so we appreciate all that you've done over the years to do that.
Gently was always the case, but I love her dearly. So
when she got taller than you, it got a little harder.
One day I thought, she's taller than I am. How am I going to discipline her?
I know. Luckily for me, my kid's shorter than me. So one of them, at least. One of them grew a little taller, but the other one is shorter. So I think we good.
I have one thing, if I may.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't remember if I was like in grade school or high school, but I had a bachelor great uncle, and one day he said to me, "I want to give you this record." Now that dates me right there. Oh, yeah. Records, and I think it was a '78 to boot. Oh. Anyway, he gave me this record, and the title of it was, now this is long.
Okay.
I don't know how they got it on the label, but the title of it, "You Can Always Find Some Sunshine at the YMCA."
Oh boy.
That's a song?
That is a song. And I hadn't played, I don't have a record player, And I happened to mention this to Ryan, the lifeguard.
Yeah, Ryan Hersey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he said, he says, "If you go on YouTube, I bet you can find that record." And I said, "Oh my gosh, this is from way, way back." And he said, "I'm sure it's there." I did, and it's there. And that's the honest truth. You can always find some sunshine at the YMCA. I don't care.
Josh, we need to look that up.
I don't care if it's the Tusk Y, another Y in Ohio, out-of-state Y. You people at the Y do a fantastic job. And so you can always find some sunshine.
I'm finding that.
That's
I'm
right.
Play it today when I go back to the Y. That is so funny. I didn't even. I'm looking that up. Spotify has got to have it at some point. It's got to be on there. We'll start to use it as our theme song. Well, we hope to obviously be around for another 100 years, and so your picture. This is from 1958. And then we have obviously coaches. Coach Brenda is on our panel for the 1990s and 20s, I think. The 20s isn't up there yet, but the 1990s. So she's got her claim to fame there as well. And then we allow Jim to be on the picture.
And our other daughter, Beth, is on there.
Is she?
Because
Really?
she was part of the diving. She did the swim team also, but she did the diving team with Dana Maloney and Phil Sankar.
Wow.
So she's on there as
She's
a
on there
little
too.
kid.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. So stop by the Y and take a look at the 100-year history and see these two lovely ladies on there and their third lovely lady on the claim to fame at the Y. Again, this was our 11th podcast. So if you haven't seen some of our other podcasts, you could certainly go back to our website at tuscymca.org and follow us on Facebook. You'll see some of the other episodes on there. If you've missed them, please use those as your outlets. The Y is a nonprofit organization focused on youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. Financial assistance is always available. We don't want anyone to think that they can't come to the Y. We will find a way for you to come. We will also find a way for you to be on swim team. If you cannot afford swim team, we will figure out a way to get you on there as well.
Absolutely.
So the Y is out there doing what we're supposed to be doing, and we get to have the experience and the blessing to have these types of families with us. This is just one of those great families. I'm grateful that you guys agreed to do this as our starting family. If you know anyone else that has a great Y story, please contact me. My name again is Kathleen Johnson. You can get me at kathleen@tuscymca.org as well, and just shoot me out an email. Great to hear from you. So from all of us at the Who, What, When, Where, and the Why podcast, have a great day, and thanks for listening.